John, what did you feel was the big difference this week?
Oh, there's a couple of things, but the main thing was intensity. For 4 quarters, we had 100 tackles. We had 30-odd more ground balls. Our effort and intensity was outstanding, and that's always the main difference. And when we get it right, we play good footy. And our challenge now is to do it next week. We did it 2 weeks ago, then we dropped off again. We need to make sure we continue with that intensity and effort every week. And we have to bring it next week to the MCG.
This was probably a step up on the Adelaide game, even though, wasn't it, even again, in intensity and effort?
Yeah, there was certainly a number of probably passages of play where we'd make mistakes. There's no doubt about that, but we just kept on going and kept on persisting and kept on working through it. And if there was one player there that made a mistake, there was another player there to clean it up and with a lay a tackle. And when we're sort of running in those type of waves and putting that type of pressure on, you're naturally going to make a few mistakes, but your persistence means that you'll get the ball forward.
It just seemed like sheer will from the get-go. It was sort of the mistakes, as you were saying, but the effort was just time after time to get through it. Yeah,
it was. I mean, we haven't been happy with our consistent effort this year to date, and we know as a group and as a team that we need to be better and more consistent at that, and we showed it tonight. But once again, we need to go in again next week. The challenge is firmly ahead of us, and we need to bring that effort and intensity next week.
Kieran and Hannah's and a bunch of the guys in the midfield have been under the pump effect. Do you reckon they responded?
Yeah, I thought our midfield was pretty good against a talented, quality, hard midfield as well. I thought they toiled admirably when they've got a bloke who can get his hand on the ball as much as what he can, and the effort at ground level and the ground balls and the working over to help each other was pretty good generally, and put pressure on the opposition when they had the ball, which was the essence of our midfield when they're playing well.
What did you read into that Headouts tally, John? What did you read into the Headouts tally?
Oh, it happens. It's hard to. It becomes. If you're just looking at totals, you sit there and you do your head in against Sandiland. So I don't look at totals. I look at effectiveness, and if we're able to match with our ruckman, if they're able to compete and bring it in close, and our ground level players are able to give us good support at ground level and put pressure on the opposition, that's what we're after. And quite a number of times I thought tonight they might have got through, but for one effective tackle, and one effective tackle stopped it. And it's just so important. And effective tackles like gold, and they're either through and it's a score, or they're stopped in their tracks. And we haven't been good at it this year, and we're better at it tonight.
I think Buddy almost reflected the team, like he made some mistakes and he kept trying, and it eventually started happening.
Yeah, it did. It was a credit to him. He didn't start that well, made a few mistakes, a few blues, and kept persisting at it and kept going and going and going, and then his game started to really turn, and he had a real influence. So it was. McFarlane's an All-Australian fullback. They don't get much better than him, and he's a quality player, and he certainly. It was pretty even early, and we can say McFarlane was on top of him, but I thought he really persisted, which was in the case of the whole team.
You got a lot of deeper in the second half. The structure was adjusting to the way the game was being played.
No, he got caught up a little bit high in the first 5 minutes, but other than that, he just worked through it. And it's not so much about where you play; it's about how you play, and that's what it's about. It's about how you play, and I thought how we played tonight is so important. That's what it's ultimately AFL football's about. It's about how you play.
You got a lot of run and some poise as well from your back line, Rampy and Reshaw and Teddy and those guys, especially early on.
Yeah, there's no doubt whether it was Malcheski or Reshaw playing with that real energy. There's some players got back to some good form for tonight, and they did it through effort. And once again, it wasn't silky all the time, and it was a few mistakes, but the effort was there, which we couldn't fault.
Is it difficult to reconcile what you saw in some of the first few games and see what you see tonight?
Well, what's happened in the first few games has happened. We can't do much about it. And as far as a result, what we can do is play the sort of footy we know we can play, and that's the effort that we showed tonight. And I'll sit here. One effort doesn't count in the long run. You need to turn up next week. That's what good teams do, and that's what we need to do next week.
Did you get a chance to look at Kerr playing the twos?
Yeah, he came off just before half time. He kicked 3 goals, I think, was moving quite well, and he got a bit of a knee in the back in the last sort of 3 or 4 minutes just before half time and went off, but his knee felt fine. He said he felt good out there, so hopefully he's okay this week with his knee in the back that he got just before half time. He just iced it up after the game, but he was only due to play a half, and that's why we didn't play him in the seniors. We wanted to make sure we controlled what the game time he played.
Is that enough to play against that?
He certainly looked as though he was moving really well. I mean, he moved well, he marked the ball well, he competed well. It's a pretty good start. Adam Goods is probably another one that starts to come into consideration for next week as well, but whether 2 of them come into consideration in 1 week, we're not sure.
John, you mentioned adjusting. I mean, your club's got a new face with the backroom staff. There's new faces there, and you've got a new president. Has it taken time for everything to bed down, like off the field and on the field, with and with Buddy as well too?
Nah, I mean, we come with effort. It's you can look wherever you like, and in the end, if you come with 100 tackles and plus 30 ground balls, it's a very simple game.
He's an enormously experienced player. Would you have any qualms or reservations about putting him into seniors without having the head out of the twos first, given the length of time he's been out?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's going to be an interesting discussion. Does he get on the plane to go to Mackay next week, which I think the reserves are playing? Or does he go to the MCG? It's a very good one. I'll have a chat to him. I'm not sure where he might want to go, but it might be an interesting discussion.
Is he that close to maybe playing next week?
Look, he trained last week. We expect him to train this week. We don't know whether he'll play this week. I don't know. He's hopefully, if he pulls up well this week, we'd like to play him somewhere on the weekend. Now, I think it was a right call in the end to play Tippett in the reserves by our medical conditioning staff. It was probably the right call. They were able to monitor him, and they'll certainly have a strong input in regards to Goodsy. Goodsy's a reasonable athlete, though.
There was a lot made last year of Crowley's battle with Kieran Jack, and there was pictures of Crowley doing this and accusing Kieran of ducking his head in the prelim, lots of stuff like that. I mean, feel Kieran bounced back pretty strongly today?
Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't talk about that at all before the game, but I thought Kieran's game was really good today. He's one of, if not the best run-with player in the competition, and when he sets his sights on you, he's very hard to beat, and very rarely does he get beaten comprehensively. Certainly Kieran didn't do that tonight, but I thought Kieran's effort was really strong. I thought he played a good game and really contributed. Yeah, I don't know. I saw him in the middle of the ground when he went down, but I don't know. I don't know how that happened.
Everybody got okay, John?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think everyone's okay. Yep. Thanks, Scott.